we bought this amazing Golf GTI Mark 7 2014 for 12,500 dirhams, which is approximately £2,500. And just before we get into the whole breakdown of the costs, here's a quick little history of the Golf GTI.
The Volkswagen Golf GTI was introduced to the world in 1976. It has become one of the most iconic hot hatches in automotive history. Here's a brief overview of its evolution. First came the Mark 1 in 1976 all the way up until 1983. The original Golf GTI was launched in Europe in 1976 and 1983 in the US respectively. It featured a 1.6 fuel-injected engine producing 110 HP, a revolutionary concept for a compact, practical car. Lightweight and nimble, it became an instant classic, establishing the hot hatch category. Then came the Mark II in 1984 all the way up until 1992. It was slightly larger and more refined, but it had improved handling. Initially it was offered with a 1.8 litre engine and then later with 16 valve variants and a supercharged G60 model. This maintained the GTI spirit while adding comfort and practicality. That was followed by the Mark III in 1992 all the way up until 1997. Heavier and more focused on refinement, offered with a 2 litre 8 valve and a 16 valve engine, and eventually a VR6 variant, which was the one to have. It was criticised for losing some of the original GTI's edge. That was followed by the Mark IV in 1997 all the way up until 2003. It continued the trend of increasing weight and luxury. It came with a 1.8 turbocharged engine, brought better performance, but the GTI nameplate struggled to excite enthusiasts. Then came the Mark V in 2004 all the way up until 2009. This was a major return to form with sharp styling and dynamic handling. You could say this was the rebirth of the GTI. It featured a 2 litre turbocharged FSI engine with 197 HP and the innovative DSG dual clutch gearbox. It was widely praised as a proper modern GTI. Which brings us to the Mark VI in 2009 up until 2012. This was an evolution of the Mark V with improved refinement and design. It retained the 2 litre TSI engine and sporty yet usable character. Which brings us nicely to the Mark VII. This was introduced to us in 2013 up until 2020. It was built on VW's MQB platform, offering more performance and tech. It featured a 2 litre TSI engine with up to 228 HP in later versions. It also introduced us to the Performance Pack and Club Sport editions. And lastly, we have the Mark VIII, which was introduced to us in 2020 and continues to impress to this day. The latest generation features updated styling, digital interiors and advanced driver assist. It comes with a 2 litre turbocharged engine with 241 HP in base form, with GTI and Club Sport editions offering a lot more. It continues to balance everyday usability with engaging driving dynamics. The GTI remains a benchmark in the hot hatch segment, offering a unique blend of performance, practicality and understated style across decades.
The lady who was selling the car got quoted a ridiculous amount of money with a whole long list of things that needed doing. So eventually she put it up for sale. I came across it, got talking to her, and the bill that she came out with, what she was quoted, was just nowhere near what needed to be spent on the car to get to where it was. You'll see that now as we do our own breakdown, and I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but yeah, let me just go into my little list. Yeah, so the first one, the main cost to buy the car. To buy the car, I paid 12.5k, 12.5k. That's dirhams. So wherever you are in the world, do your transaction checks and whatever, and you can see what it's worth. From here, just from our car market here, 12.5k for a Mark 7 GTI is really cheap. All because of the astronomical amount that the lady who owned it was quoted. So obviously we had to balance it out and agree on a price that took that into consideration. The next main cost was the registration of the car, which was 350. It's not a biggie, but you have to get the car registered for you to be able to drive it. And then insurance came in at 630. So 12.5k to buy, and 350 for registration, and 630 for the insurance. That's the car on the road where we're allowed to drive it. Once all that's done, then the real fun starts. So in terms of getting it fixed, getting it ready, getting it back to the original power and the boost that it had. So the first thing, the main thing, what you guys can see, I think the first video it is, or the second video I think it is, it had a couple of oil leaks. So the oil leaks and the service parts, including the alignment. So obviously when you take the wheels off, just to make sure it's all going straight and everything, all small things, came in at 900 dirhams. After that, once we got the car ready, took for a little bit of a drive on the highway, and it was making a bit of a shaking and a humming noise. That we came down to the conclusion it was the bearings. We got the bearings done. They came in at 400 dirhams. And then just recently, just not long ago, we've just got the battery changed on it because it was struggling to start a little bit at times. The battery came in at 400 dirhams. And then the last thing, well, not the last thing in the process, but the last thing on our list was the paint, the alloy refurb, and the paint on the calipers. All of that came in at 1800 dirhams. Which brings us to a grand total of 16,980, I think, if I'm that's right, just under 17k. Yeah, so that's all it cost. It didn't cost anywhere near the 13k. That was quoted by a certain other garage. I won't name names, I'm not going here to name and shame people, but yeah, that's how some people are quoting work. So yeah, people, that's the total bill there. Everything's there in front of you to see, but please be aware. We are a business, so obviously we have relationships with part suppliers, and the parts that we are getting are not at retail value. They will be slightly lower than they would be for a customer. Also, where we save is on labour charges. Obviously, the team here, they take care of all the work that needs to be done, and that's our total savings. But all in all, it's not just about the total savings, it's about quoting people for jobs that are not needed, and that's where this other bill what you can see will show you. Peace out.